I'll try to see if we can proceed with Linux basics, and we shall blend in other modules as we go on, and on and on. Today, I will welcome you to the second edition of the UCC Cyberstars third edition that has actually kicked off. We had our first session on Friday last week. We had a subsequent one, which was on Saturday. For those that are joining us for the first time, we are doing this each and every Friday and Saturday. Friday, it's the same time like now, 7 to 8 p.m. Tomorrow, Saturdays, we start from at the 8:30 a.m. Or 9 up to midday, but we have a break in between there. We had an amazing sessions last week, and I can guarantee you we had some amazing challenges. I saw people solve challenges. I saw people on the scoreboard having the scoreboard is changing here and then. And trust me, by tomorrow we shall have new people on the scoreboard. We shall have people change numbers because we have plenty of challenges to add on today. To look at challenges from last week, we saw people trying to solve a lot of crypto challenges, and we shall be recognizing most of these people. We added web challenges in the course of this week. I think we also added one digital forensic. But even if you haven't solved any of these, you don't need to worry. Those that have already solved are those that had a clue on it. So, for example, if you haven't solved the challenge in web security, trust me, we shall be able to train you on how to solve this. If you haven't in reverse, we shall do that. In forensics, the same. Network security, the same. Okay. So proceeding with Linux basics, we had a few challenges which we all solved. I don't think there is any of these challenges that is not yet solved, and I can guarantee you that most of these challenges you'll solve them with ease. Okay. Then one more thing I want to put across is about users who are going against our rules. Our rules are very clear. If you go against each or any of the rules, you are going to be disqualified. And trust me, if you're disqualified, even the letter goes to your patron and up to the vice chancellor. So please follow the rules of this competition. And I can guarantee you that these rules have to be followed plus the code of conduct. The code of conduct is clear that you have to follow all ethical standards. You have to respect the competition. You also have to be professional in whatever you're doing. Anything that or in anything by taking part or registering to our platform, you are bound to have accepted all our terms and conditions, and also you bound to have accepted the rules to follow the rules and abide by them. And I can guarantee you that the purpose for that is to have a fair play so that we don't have people cheating others. We also focus on learning. It's not all about submitting flags. Like I told you last week, you can be number one, but you will not get a prize if you cheated. We have our anti-cheating mechanisms, and we can be able to tell who shared a flag. And trust me, one person violating will make the whole university disqualified. That is one thing you need to know right now. So let's focus on learning. Let's focus on building a community that would build security engineers of the future. So, like I said, please, you are also allowed to report those you see trying to cheat. You are allowed to report them, and we shall be able to work on them as the rules say. So, another thing I want to put out is that one thing you need to understand is flag sharing is prohibited. And you trust me, if you share your flag, we shall know. And you've seen some of the people we've already disqualified, so don't fall victims, don't fall a culprit of it. Okay. And other questions, we shall be looking at them in the chat, and also shall have a Q&A. I think without wasting time, we should be able to start off immediately. Those that have joined now, we have two links. We have underline, we have our LMS. When you go to our platform, our LMS will take you, you will only go underline, it will take you to the LMS, where we shall have our courses. You will enroll with these courses and try to go about them. Last week, we saw how to run basic commands, how to read files. We saw how to connect OSSH into a system. We saw how to change directories. We saw what exactly a Linux terminal is. We saw users and groups and permissions, how to change mode, CH mode. We saw that. So we also saw how to actually look at hidden files. So today we shall look at file operations. And file operations, why do we learn file operations? We learn file operations specifically to know how to actually Yes, someone is asking in the chat that will there be two sessions tomorrow? Yes. Um, okay. Okay, so let's proceed. I was reading in the chat. So I welcome each and everyone once again to this second week of the UCC Cyber Stars competition. I can guarantee for those who don't know, October is an awareness month, cybersecurity awareness month. So trust me, this is the right time to learn. This is the right time to network with your fellows. So back to the course content. Our course content today, file operations. We look at how to manipulate files, how to deal with files in Linux. We deal with how to handle files in Linux. Why do we do so? Because we shall be learning how to analyze logs. We shall be learning how to actually use large files, which you cannot analyze manually. So how do we use commands to deal with files in Linux? Like I told you, this is a hands-on course. We talk less and act as much as possible. Today we shall have fun in how to manipulate files in Linux. So what exactly is Linux file operation? So we shall look at some of them. So file management in Linux. Um, Okay, so in this case, when we go to a big perspective of file management in Linux, we look at like last week we saw how to change directory using cd command. We saw how to modify the permissions of files, which is chmod. We also saw different modes, these different numbers being represented by different permissions. We saw how to actually deal with some of these users and groups. So today we shall look at special permissions within Linux. Then we have setuid. So in this case, setuid is used for only applications, or we can call it give some applications can have more permissions or special permissions than the others. So in this case, it means that that permission indicates that this application can be this application has to be run as the owner of the file, not as the user. So basically, which means that it's the owner that can execute this file, not any user. That's why for those people who have SSH'd into our server, it's not that you will run or execute or cut any file. It means that there is a specific file that a specific owner. Some files are owned by root, you can't manipulate them. That's how you see it look like. Then we have set GID, which is primarily means that some application has to be run by a person who is in a specific group. In this case, if the group owns a file, which means that any person in that group can be able to actually set or run that application. So there are very many of these that we can learn and see how to go about them. So we have sticky bit also. This is primarily for folders. I can call them directories, whereby the bits dictate the file creation. So in this case, the person who created that file is the only person who can be able to remove that file. So in this case, no, unless you're the person, or unless you're not the person the bit is dictating, you won't be able to manipulate that file. So in this case, we have an example whereby character T in a place of X in everyone's category. So in this case, everyone does not have execute permissions. So the T is capitalized to reflect the fact. So in this case, we mean that if for example, we are in a group called cells, that is for those basics of Linux system administration. If you have a group and there are specific users, or sometimes like we saw in set GID, they can be having permissions to execute a file. But stick a bit here is that it detects a specific person in that group who can have rights on that file. So it doesn't mean that we all have a rights to actually execute a file in that group. So that's part of Linux file management. Why do we learn this? We learn this well to become good admins, to also learn privilege escalation. When you have compromised the system when you're doing a pen test, you want to escalate your privileges. So some system administrators, they end up misconfiguring this. You find that this group, one application which is actually owned by root, a user can run it, which means that maybe he can use that to escalate privileges. Or you find a person having some applications having whose UIDs are set, and you can be able to run it globally. So basically, you can manipulate them to get a privileged access. So in this case, permissions may include hown. chown means change the owner of the file. So when a person runs chowner plus the owner, in this case the user, plus the file, he will have changed the ownership of the file. So if you want to change the group, you have to use chgrp, which means change group. For those joining us for the first time, uh, I don't think you many, but we had our prerequisites, which are Kali Linux, and in this case, we have I have in front of me, I have my um, I have my Linux here. Okay, so I have my Linux here. So I can go to my home directories and I try to zoom out. So when we actually go to we can create a directory for those that are doing this for the first time. We can create a directory. So called make directory. We call it day2. So in this case, how do we when we list, we shall see a directory called day2 created here. CD means that we want to navigate to that directory, which is day2. So we shall say day2 and enter. So the syntax of the command is the syntax in Linux is it is a command followed by arguments or followed by options. In this case, cd means change directory to the folder called day2. So when we are inside there, when we list, there is nothing there. So in this case, we were able to see some of these files, and trust me, I can guarantee you that these files can be able to help us understand who owns them. In this case, when we go back to our slides, we look at, for example, copying files, we look at changing group, and we look at, for example, copy is also a command to copy files from one location to another. It is CP, the command is CP, and if you're copying a directory, some directories always have things inside them. So you have to put option R, that means recursive. So that is what we mean uh, by that. So for example, we can attach a file called joel.txt. So in this case, when I list, we shall have a file called joel.txt. And this file, if you want to see who owns it, we have to do a long list by saying ls minus l, we can say minus l, which is a long list. And then we shall be able to see the permissions. R means readable, W means writable. So when you see them together, it means that the file is readable and writable by this user here and the group. So that is what it means. And here it means it is a file operate. This is when the file was created or modified. In digital forensics, we shall be seeing, we shall look at metadata in file operations, in actually in of how to manipulate files in this case. So we can look at that later on, like we are saying. So ls there is ls tag l, ls tag al, ls tag ld, ls tag r. So in this case, all of these have provide you with different data. Like we can go back and look at the file we created, which is this. So when I just do ls tag la and I press enter, now it will bring data that I had not seen in this case, and it will also read data differently. So this is the size here. This is how this is the size. For example, this is the you can see this is the size. It is 0. And if you don't know why it is 0, is there anyone who can tell me why the size is 0? You can type it in the chat. Someone to tell me why it is 0. Oh, someone says they can't see my screen. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Okay, we can go back and look at this. Um, okay, sorry about that. So please confirm if you can see my screen now. Please confirm if you can see my screen. I can repeat everything. I can repeat everything. I can repeat. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay. So I can repeat from this slide where we were talking about file management. Um, we can also look at exactly what I was doing before that. So in this case, I was looking at what I talked about what we learned last week, which is about changing directory, changing the models of the files, changing the permissions, and also looking at how to actually view file permissions. We looked at I talked about set UID, set GID, and sticky bit. So in Linux file management and viewing, there are special permissions that can be given to different applications and files. So in this case, we have we have set UID. In this case, set UID is a special permission that can be able to, that indicates that the application can only be run as the owner. So in this case, if you don't own a file, if you don't own an application, you won't run it. And there, that's why I opened up my Linux. I opened up my Kali. So I can remove everything because I want to start afresh. So, okay. So what I did was to simulate that. First of all, I created a directory called day2 that I can call it. Okay, the file exists. When it lists and that file exists, you have to create a new one or you can rename. So what I can do, I can create a folder with a directory called day3. So I can, when I list, I should be able to see day3 here. When I see d to day3. So how do you confirm that you are in that folder? pwd is the command, and you can see the full path that shows where exactly I am. And when I list files, I won't see any file there. I want to create a file here. In Linux, we can create a file using the command touch, and I create a file called joel.txt. Okay. So when I list, you should be able to actually see the file that I created. But then we are learning permissions, and when we look at different permissions like set UID, we should be able to look at something like this. So we have set UID, set GID. So set GID is whereby it is only people that belong to a group that can be able to run an application. So if at all someone is not able to run that file, it means that it doesn't belong to that group. So that is why we have that. Then sticky bit. Uh, this is whereby it's a bit that dictates a file creation and removal. So in this case, even if we are all in one group, we can't be able to run the file unless our bits are set to that application. So those are different. So those permissions, how can we view them? When we go back to Linux and we list our file, we shall just list the file. And when we do ls tag l, we shall be able to do a long list which shows the permissions. We have here R means read, and then W means write. So in this case, we have who actually writes and owns. It's a user carry. This is the username of this system. Um, okay, and then given the date of modification and the time. So after seeing that this file is readable and writable, I also um, talked about who always owns a file, which group does the file belong to, and how to copy, and so on and so forth. So in this case, who is the owner of it? If you want to own a file, you have to use the command chown, which means that you have to specify a command chown plus the owner and the file name. If you want to change the group of the name of the file, you have to use chgrp, which means that change group plus the file name. So copy is used to copy a file from one location to another, which is cp. And if you're copying a directory, you have to put -r for recursive. So this brings back here. So when we look at when we do ls tag l and we add an a here, it will give us more results and good readable. In this case, we have this file called joel.txt. It was manipulated or created at this time, and this is the size of this file. And that's where I was asking you, uh, who can tell me why this file has a size set as 0? You can type that in the chat, and we see who is actually following. So you can type in the chat why. Okay, I can see. I can see in the chat. Um, okay, thank you very much. I can see people are really know Linux. I'm seeing people know Linux here. Okay, thank you very much. So it's because this file is empty. And this file, when the file has no content, it means that there's nothing. So if and what do I do? How do I edit a file in Linux? We have Nano. It is a utility used for editing files. We have Mousepad. This is a graphical user. We have Vim, normally called by VI. So I normally prefer Nano, and then plus the name of the file. So it will open an editor like this that you can type things. So in this case, if you can type random things, oh, okay, you have to learn. So if you want to save is Control X if you had not saved. So for example, if I run Nano again and I add some content, when I try Control X, they will tell me, do you want to save? If you want to save, you will type yes. If you don't want to say no, so me, I will just type yes. And then they would ask you if you want to proceed with that file name. If you want to change the name, you can be able to modify the name here. So, but for me, I still want the name. I'll press enter, and I will have still the file, still the same file, but you will see that since now we have some content inside it, we have some size of the file. And this is what we mean how to understand files and their sizes. And how do you know that this is a txt file? How do you know that? You use the command called file, and then you followed by the name of the file. In this case, it's txt. So they'll tell you what kind of file it is. Then they will tell you that this is an ASCII text file. Even if you change this name and in this you say move joel.txt to joel.pdf, so in this case, you will see it will be a PDF. But trust me, in forensics, you would see us running the command file to understand the file type. So file geo.pdf, even if you change its extension, the original file will show that it is a text file, and you can be able to cut that file, which because it is a text file. So I can move this file back to its original, which was geo.txt, not geo.ts, so geo.txt. ls. So move joel.pdf to joel.txt. So in this case, move is a command that sometimes it cuts and moves the file from one direction to direction to another, but it also moves the whole file name or renames. There's a command for renaming, which is rm. Also, it renames the file, and also we can use move to change exactly the file identity. So in this case, when I list, you shall be back with our file. And yeah, so that is the file we have. So different file operations have different way of running it. If this file is not readable by command cut, um, we can also read it with strings. If it is a file, uh, so we can run it with strings. Strings is also a command, or is also a utility in Linux to find readable text in files in Linux. And from there, we can be able to learn how to use strings, because trust me, we shall find many challenges that want you to run strings on it. And from there, you can be able to get a flag. Okay, so let's look at also this. This is what we are from looking at. So in this case, mkdir move. We've seen move. Also, we've seen long lists. We also seen as many of these as possible. So in this case, we want to find. So how do you find hidden? How do you find file? Because Linux file system is very large. If I'm looking for flag.txt, how do I look for it? In this case, um, there is a command in Linux. There are two ways to find files. There is locate. So locate means it helps you find files. For example, if I say locate, um, I can say locate, which file can I look for? For example, I want maybe flag.txt, because you people, that's what you'll be looking for in servers. It will actually recursively search everywhere flag.txt is. And you can see it brought all folders that have flag.txt. Um, if, for example, I want to search for maybe files, applications, and so on, you can use find. So if I want, I can use find, but find also has its way of usage. We can see if you say find and you don't see its help, we can just say we can look at its manual page, which is man find. So this will give us the manual page of how to use find. In this case, they are telling us find, it is used for searching files in directory hierarchy. So in this case, they give us a lot of ways how to use find. So we press Q to exit man pages. So if I want to find, use command find, and find is normally followed by where you want to search the file from. In this case, we learned that this means the root of a whole Linux file system. So when I put that, it means that I want you to find a specific file I will write in a whole of the Linux file system. So I'll say space, and what follows is an option, which is a name. I'll say tag name, and then put the name I'm looking for. So I'll say I'm looking for flag.txt. So this will actually run in the old folders in this file Linux file system to look for that file. So as you can see, it is trying to find anywhere that file could be. So as you can see, it searches almost everywhere to find it, to see if it can find. So, but you see, it started with proc, and you see it will also search var, it will also search root, it will search everywhere. But if you want to save time, normally, so we can exit this and just say maybe search under maybe home, and it will only search under home, and so it will only get those file systems. Okay, so we shall look at more of these. So we can use find, we can use locate, we can use um, mostly those that will help us find files. We saw PWD, we saw RM. RM is used to remove or delete files. RMDIR to remove directories, and we also use the Dutch. We use the which shows the path we are in. In this case, you can just say you can type which, and it will show you the full absolute path where we are in. So where is also used to locate binaries and man page files. We can also use, like I showed you, we can use tail, we can use head, we can use VI, we can use Pico, we can use Emacs to actually edit files. I normally prefer, so tail and less still do the same thing to open files. So we can see that. Okay, so I have, okay, let me zoom out. So when I have a file like this, I can say less followed by the file, press enter. It will print the top 10 lines of that file, but for us, we only have one line. That's why I typed this. You can press Q to exit it. You can use tail to also open that file. It will cut the last 10 lines mostly. Sometimes today we shall also learn other commands of how to manipulate files. Okay, so at this juncture, you will allow me uh, open up a challenge for you to try on. And this challenge will be on our platform right about now. If you're ready for this challenge, um, you can react with it. If you're ready for the challenge. Okay, so we shall head over to our platform and head over to a challenge. This challenge is called StringX. It's called Linux strings operations. So remember that it's the same way. You have to SSH to the server, find the file where it is, and solve it. In this case, that is where I expect you to go. SSH to the server, find the file where it is, and run its commands. So this should be visible. It should be visible. And if it's not, you can raise up your hand or type in the chat. it's not visible. Okay. Yes, my screen is off because I want you to solve the challenge. But I can show you the challenge. The challenge is called strings ops. When I go under challenges and under Linux basics, there is a new challenge that is created for you called strings operations. This file says, can you find the flag in files without running them? And we even have a hint for you. They are saying, what is the hint saying? They are saying strings. So I don't know what it means, but if you go there, if you use SSH into the server, this hint will make sense for you. I want to see the first person to solve this challenge. Remember, uh, the logins to the server are here. Where are they? Go home. The logins to the server here. SSH to this server with user CTF player and password tested at UCC. You will be able to get the flag. Someone says, I don't see the challenges. Refresh the platform, please. And you should be able to see the challenge. The challenge is called strings operation under Linux basics. And I can confirm the first person to solve this challenge called Baganja. And he's the first person to solve the challenge. So when 10 people solve this challenge, we shall proceed. I can guarantee there are 2 people that have solved the challenge. And remember, this competition is fair. We can have the same points, but the person who submitted the answer first, it will be he will be the person who will grab the crown. So in this case, as I can see, how people are solving this. Okay, Emmanuel has finished solving it. Thank you. I'm waiting for others to finish solving it. In these CTFs, we call it blooding a challenge. When you solve it, when you be the first person to solve it, it's called being the first blood of the challenge. So you've blooded the challenge. So that is what we call it. And some you will find us giving specific prizes to people who blood all sort of challenges first. So in this case, we can see the third solve, and on the fifth solve, I will be able to begin. So for those that are wondering how I'm doing it, you have your Linux. I can pull over. For the beginners, you can SSH from anywhere, from your machine or from our terminal or from your command prompt or PowerShell. So me, I will just say SSH and what is it called? The challenge is called. Um, so these are the logins. The VM IP, you have to copy it the way it is. And we have to use a CTF player and password tested at UCC. Okay, let's head over back and I will say CTF player at IP. You put the IP, press enter. So when you press enter, they'll ask you if you want to continue. I will say yes. And you put the password which is tested at UCC. I will have logged on to the server or the remote server. So first things first, when I'm doing Linux is list files that are here. I'm seeing different directories here, but what comes up or what stands out? What stands out is, what is the challenge called? The challenge is called strings operations. And we have a hint that says, have you checked the strings dir? So which means that there is a folder or directory called strings. So let me head over to back to the server. And when I list, I'm seeing a folder called strings. So how do I go to that folder? So I'll cd to strings, enter. When I'm inside there, I will list files. What is there? I'm seeing a file. But when you look at its color, it's weird. I told you that before you run files, please, you have to first understand which files they are. And that command, someone is saying reshare credentials, please. If you have access to the platform, you should see those credentials on the challenge of Go Home. Okay, so when you run file on strings, it should tell you what file it is, and they will tell you it is an executable. ELF, it means this is a 64-bit executable, and they will tell you that it was compiled on Linux. So we shall look much into that. But trust me, when you use the command cat to open that file, When I use the command cut, it will look like this. This is gibberish, so you won't be able to read anything because this is compiled and you should not be able to see anything. So what do I do? Someone put for me how the person who solved it, what do I do to get the flag? What do I do to get the flag? Okay, Manuel says, please use string command. Nelson says strings plus file name. Okay, thank you very much. I want to see ladies also take part in this. So let me do what you've asked me. So I say strings space followed by the file name. And in this case, what is the file name? It is strings xd. So when I put enter, they'll bring all readable characters in this. But still, you will see that maybe I can't see the flag. But if you have good eyes, you'll see the flag here. But if you still want to do much of file filtering, you'll put a pipe and grep the thing you're looking for. In this case, we know our flag formats start with the word cyberstar. So I'll put tag I, which means that I want you to search. So it means search with interactive search. So I will put quotes and say, bring, please search in all of this and find for something that has word cyber on it. When I press enter, they will only and only bring a line where there is a word cyber. So, or even you can just grep the file and grep the word and you will copy well. So some people were having challenges with submitting flags. When I copy like this, I want to show you the difference of copying your flags. When I copy this flag like this, when I take it to submit it, when I press submit, they will say it's correct. Some of you, when you're copying, you leave some of the challenges have case sensitive on them. When you don't copy the file well, when you don't copy the flag well and you leave a space at the end, that challenge will tell you that that flag is wrong. What do I mean? Make sure your cursor is blinking from the last bracket. Always make sure your cursor is blinking from the last bracket. Here, not here. This space you leave at the end, some challenges, the system will refuse it because some challenges will have their flags which are case sensitive. So you'll be able to submit the flag and you'll get your 100 points. Okay, so this juncture, um, we can confirm 27 people have solved the challenge. Thank you very much. So we can proceed with the slides. Okay, so we are going to look at also still in file operations, compressing data and zipping files. We shall look at how to compress and uncompress. So in this case, there are different archives, or why do we compress data in Linux? In this case, we zip files so that we can decrease on their size. So archiving means that your data was 5 GBs, but when I zip it, it will be an archive file which will have less data. And in this case, you will be able to transfer it very well. You will see some of our files which I'll give you will be compressed, and you can compress them using gzip. For example, when you have a file that is .gz, it means that is a gz file, and you can only uncompress it using gunzip. When it is a zipped file, you can only compress it by command and zip. When is a tar archive, you can also compress it by tar minus zcvh. So in this case, your file can be uncompressed. In Windows, you normally see our Linux, our files. You just, when you're zipping it, you right click on the file and then compress. But here, we just use commands. Gzip, we can use commands like gunzip, we can use commands like spio, we can use commands like tar, and we can use as many commands as possible. So these commands help us in how to deal with archive file. So in this case, we want to see in detail how to deal with files that are archived. Okay, so we can look at. I can exit this. Okay, so I can exit this. So which folder are we in? We are in folder. We are in folder in D3 folder. So uh, how do we deal with zipped files? Can we create our first zip? We can create our first zip in Linux, and that zip file, we can first create a file or a folder, and we can zip it. For those, if you're using Linux and you don't have, for example, unzip, when you type the command unzip and you don't see it installed, it means that it is not installed. You can run sudo apt install zip, or you can just say install unzip, like Y, for a full install. So in this case, what we have to do is that we can zip different files in one folder. So in this case, if you don't know how to use zip command, you can do help. And in this case, they can tell us how we can use zip. So in this case, we are seeing all of these options we can use to zip and unzip. But we can have one file. Let me create another file. Since I have one file, I can create another file. Touch Joel joel2.txt. So in this case, I want to create an archive that compresses these two files. So first things first, I will say zip, followed by the name I want to call my zip file. In this case, I want to call my zip file I call my zip file, I call it Joel archives.zip. You have to add an extension because this is a zipped file. And now space followed by now the files you want to compress. In this case, I have two files. One file is Joel1. Is it Joel1? Just Joel, I think. .txt, and another file is Joel3. So when I press enter, they will tell me that this has been added, this has been added. But the question is, where has it been added? When I list, we shall see a new file in red called joelarc.zip. So that is the command we can use. So now we have compressed our file using zip utility. How do we get back our files? So even if now I can delete these files, joel.txt, and I can also remove um, joel3.txt. So I'm on with an archive. So what do? The command is unzip followed by the archive name, which is Joel. When I press enter, it will extract the two files. So in this case, when I do ls, I'll have my two files back. So you should be able to get your archive file. And trust me, sometimes we shall even protect these folders with passwords, and you'll be able to fail to actually do what? To unzip them. So, or you have to brute force the passwords to get the zipped files. Okay, so in this case, we can also look at other compressed files. So we've seen the zip. Now we can also find the gz. So when you find a .zip file, or when you find a dot zip file or .gzip, you always know the utility. Uh, you have to know the utility to use it to compress it. So we saw gunzip is for uncompressing gzip compressed files, and that is for decompressing. But when you're compressing, and these files are always having extensions .gz, and normally you will find them. Let me see if, for example, let's find in the whole of this file system anything that has .gz. So remember, we learned how to use find. I put that I want to search everything in the file system, and then I say tag name. I will put a star. A star, it is means everything that is .gz. So everywhere you see us use a star, it means that please do everything that has .gz. So I will say when I press enter, it will have a lot of noise, but normally I will teach you the best way to get rid of those noise. Um, we can even pipe this into dev null if we want. But when I press enter, we can just wait since I'm searching. So as you can see, we've gotten one. We can wait for it. Okay, I can see many of them. So we can stop from there. So we have seen as many GZ. These are compressed files, and these you can unzip them using gunzip. So gunzip, you come and you paste the file you want to unzip and unzip it if you have permissions. Me, I didn't unzip it because when you see who owns that file, actually, let's see who owns the file. So you have to understand file permissions also. So I can just say ls and I paste the file. They'll tell me this file is owned by root. So which means that user Kali cannot open that file. But now, can I become root? Sudo su, I put my password. Okay, I'm root. How do I know I'm root? Who am I? I'm root. So I'm no longer Kali. So can I open that file? So let me gzip gunzip. So I immediately can be able without permission errors to unzip that file. So that file is actually now uh, 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 extracted. When I actually cd to this folder, I should be seeing that extracted file. I can cd to that folder and I list files there. I should be seeing atlas that something. I think this is the one. If you want to confirm, we can confirm the file, the time it was manipulated. Where is it? It is this one. Okay, this is the time it was manipulated. We can see it, who owns it. Okay, so it's that one. So you should be able to understand these permissions also. So I can exit root and I go back to Kali. Who am I? I'm Kali. I'm no longer root now. Okay. So that is one way we can have these compressed files and so on and so forth. So now let's look at the real what brought us today. And before we look at what brought us today, I will allow you now solve two more challenges. Confirm that really your Linux basic skills have you're really good now at Linux basics. So in 20 seconds or 30, you should be able to we shall find a new I'm opening new file and a new challenge, and this challenge is called runners. I want to see those people who can run, who know how to run files in Linux. So I want to see how can you, when they give you a file in Linux, can you run it? So you should be having a challenge called runners, and you should be able to SSH to the server and see why it's called that name. I will also open another challenge called commander, and that challenge, you should be able to find it inside Linux basics also. I want to see the first person to solve those challenges. I know the fastest guy on the terminal. Okay. So let's see the first person to solve that challenge. It's called Commander, and I think everyone should be able to solve this really. So Commander says, can you actually, the command to use it to do something? So you should be able to understand what exactly that command is. Runners, it wants you to run a file. So let's see how you can run these files in Linux file system. I'm giving a few seconds. For you to solve the challenge. So Commander, a program that interrupts with commands, is called what? So you can be able to paste it there. You can be able to paste your answer just enter the answer, I think, without putting wrapping it in. We can look at the hint also. Some challenges may need you to submit answers just uh, without wrapping them in the flag, but that one will have to be you will have to be told that. But we normally every challenge will have to. So the hint is telling us that submit the answer as it is, which means that you don't need to actually do what? You don't need to wrap it. Okay, so we should be able to solve that, those two challenges. And now today, as we proceed, we shall look at how to actually manipulate files that are large. And in this case, this will be our last one. I see time is almost against us. We shall look at how to use sleep, how to use sort, how to use unique, how to use WC. We shall see how to. So why do we learn, for example, this? You will be seeing how to analyze logs. You're a SOC analyst, this person who is a cybersecurity engineer, and they want you to analyze 1 million logs and get down the bottom of what actually happened. What will it do? So these are the commands that actually help us to manipulate the files, to run these commands to actually get filters that are advanced. So this is now advanced file manipulations. And these, today we shall see them, how to even go about them. Okay, so I can see one solve on commander. I can see runners has so those people that actually solve these challenges faster shows how resilient you are as far as this is concerned. Okay, as we are actually looking at these challenges, okay, we can head over to our Linux and let's learn how to use different files. So I want to find a file. I think I should find it from, okay, we can get the file. We want to manipulate files. Please first concentrate here. We shall solve challenges later. Since we are against time, let's first concentrate on the learning. We shall solve the challenges later. So let me first copy this file. Please first focus on the learning. If we had first solved challenges, time will be against us. Uh, Yet we still have all of the time for us to solve the challenges. Let's first focus here. So file is okay. It's under Linux. This okay. So I want to copy this file to here. Okay. So we have a file called ctf activity.log. This file is a log file. In the chat section, please, who can tell me where do we store files, log files in Linux in the chat? Where do we find log files in Linux? Okay, thank you very much. So I can split this terminal vertically. Also this side so that I can zoom well. Okay, so when I see d2/var and I list, there are different files in this var directory, but there is a specific directory called log. When I see log and I list, there are very, very many log files, and a log file is always .log. For example, we have different logs. These are boot logs for the boot. These are Apache logs. These are aptitude logs. We have, if Nginx has its directory for its logs, Postgres, Redis, and so on and so forth. So these log files, ls, we can pick one log. For example, xor.log. Let's look at how they are their size. Logs are always, let me just collapse this subterminal and we just focus on one. Okay, so when I see d2/logs, no /var logs, and I list. So I have a lot of logs here, but we can pick like Apache. Let me go to Apache, cd Apache. So we have different logs. Apache logs, it's error logs in error.log, and it also stores its access logs in access.log. In this case, when I ls stack l, how to get a long list, ls stack lh, we shall see that these files look to be empty, which means that I don't have Apache on this. I don't have Apache logging anything on this VM. So we can go to where there is some data. For example, I have a feeling we can have something in apt, cd apt. When I do ls stack lh, I can see files have good size that we can look at. So there is, for example, history.log. So how do we manipulate that file? When you actually look at this file, cut history.log. This file, I don't want to cut it. It might be a long file and it may break my system. What do I do? Instead of cutting, I will just say less history. So less will give me the top 10 lines or 15 or 20 of this file. So this is a lot. But how do I even know that it is a lot? What I do is just count WC. So unfortunately, it is just 7 lines. Actually, let me just cut it and then count its lines. So WCL helps us to count the lines. So I should not fear that this file is large. It only has 7 lines. So WCL, or you can just say WCL to just say that this file only has 7 lines. So we can confirm actually mousepad. You can open it with mousepad now. And we can confirm that it is 7 lines minus this space. So 7 lines. And that is what exactly this file is made of. Now, let's close mousepad. Now, let's now do the real thing now. So what do we do? How do we manipulate logs? Since logs are many, maybe I can ls history.log term.log. Let's see. WC tag l term.log has how many? 115 lines. Okay, that's quite a number. Okay, so that is how we know different lines. So now let's go back to. So let's go back to our file we want to manipulate. So that file was, I think, inside day3. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, day3. Okay, so this is the file I want us to manipulate. But this file is ctf_activity.log. This file, let's count how many lines this file has. So I will say wc tag l. Tag L means lines. So C, which means that you're trying to count the words, and tag L, you're trying to get the line number lines. So I will now say CTF activity log. It has 200,000 lines. I'm wondering if you're a cybersecurity engineer and they told you to analyze this log file manually, will you do that? Of course, no. So what you do here is you have to use filters. And this now brings us to the interesting stuff, which is how to actually manipulate these files. So we have different files. So I can first look at the first top 10. I just say less ctf log. So when I look at this, I'm seeing things like auth, I'm seeing users, I'm seeing the IP addresses. Okay, I'm seeing some database things like select. You see, in this competition, you have to be suspicious of everything. When you see something like failed passwords, when you see something like /admin, you should be curious about it. And another thing you have to be curious about this, because when I see HTTP and I see 403, what does 403 mean? You can type in the chat. What does 403 mean as far as web applications are concerned? Permission denied, file not found, access, hey, forbidden. Thank you. So when I look at this, I will know that this is a log file of our CTF, of our competition server. Okay, how do I actually get, so I can cut that file. Of course I can't. That would be weird. So it's called, but I don't want to cut it. I will just say tail. I told you tail just prints the last lines. So as you can see, these are the last lines. And I can see some methods put, I can see database from payments. I'm seeing interesting stuff here. So how do we analyze these files? First things first, we can look at grep. Grep is one tool we can use. So instead I can just say grep. I normally want to use tag I for interactive search, and I just say grep for anything that has password or pass. So it will list everything that has password on this. And in this case, I have discovered something new. We had seen failed, but we see something called accepted, which means that someone called guest using this IP address, his password was accepted, which means that he authenticated to the server. How do we confirm? It's because we are seeing auth. And also we look at the time when he did that. So these are suspicious things you have to look at. But then I would also look at Alice here has failed password. Still again, Alice, the same guy has, or the same lady has the same failed password, and so on and so forth. So we shall look at that later on. So when we look at manipulating file, we can use, for example, I can say, instead of cat, I can use tail, tag F. If I want to watch logs live, I can use tag F. But for that, we just want to grep. We can say, oh, we can start with grep. I can say grep. So I can say grep failed password and put the file I want to grep. For example, the file is called ctfarchive.log. When I press enter, I will have a lot of things. Okay, it didn't bring anything. Why? Case sensitive, I think. It is capital F. So you have to mark that, the case sensitivity of the search. So I will say failed with capital F, and they will bring many. How many lines are these? For example, when I want to count those lines, I will just say WC tag L. This also, the file is still large. You see, what I'm doing is I'm trying to cut down the file that had one, was it 200,000 lines to now only 10,000. So, but still, this is a lot for me. What do I do? I'm only seeing failed, 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 but I can also sort that file. In this case, one thing I want you to understand, for example, let me only just do I can say tail. No, not tail. I can say head. I want to teach you something. Okay, now this is a shorter log. You have to understand that logs are logged in a data in a table format for better storage. In this case, this can be one column for time. This can be one column for the protocol and authentication to show that what was happening. This can be another column. This can be a column. This can be another column for IP, another column for the comment or description. So when we are actually manipulating files, we focus on these help us. In this case, let me bring back my command, which is this. It has a lot of logs. May I want to only get maybe, what can I get? I can get some specific fields here. So in this case, I would use awk. Awk is a utility actually that helps us to identify or remove repeated characters, repeated elements. So in this case, when I use awk, it means that I want to extract, I want to reformat data fields. Data fields are these that I have explained here. In this case, in this line, where you see users, it is a data field. So when I use awk, it means that I want to manipulate that field in my search. So when I say awk, awk is always followed by which fields you want to manipulate. In this case, when I just say, in this case, I will say print $1. So when I press enter, you see what they have brought? They have brought the first data field in this. Let me repeat this. Let me first go back here. I told you that these are data fields. This is a data field. This is a data field. So when I only want to, for example, get only the data field of this is that this data field is at number 1, this is at number 2, number 3, number 4, and so on and so forth. So when I said, please go on, I used the utility org, I printed with a dollar sign, print a data field at number 1. Let me put head so that they don't bring many. They only and only bring only this data field. Now let me print data field number 2. They will only and bring what is at data field number 2. I can, so which means that if I only want IP addresses, what will happen? I'll have to count. So this is number 2, number 3, number 4, 5, 6, which means that if I want only IP addresses, I will just print data field number 6. They will only and only bring all IP addresses that try to authenticate in the system. But sometimes when you want to combine a data field, what do? You separate them with commas. So in this case, if I want to get data field for time and IP address, or I can say I want a data field for failed password was at what? This is the last. Okay, let me grab for the last. I think it might be 6. Is it 6? No, it's not 6. Is it 7? It's not 7. Is it 8? Okay. So what I will do, I will want IP address. I will print where IP addresses have failed. So in this case, I will print 2. So that will be 6 $6 separated by a comma, and press enter. They will only and only bring IP addresses that have failed on it. So I have printed 2 data fields in this case, a data field for IP and the data field for failed. So here, when you're analyzing logs, now I will tell my supervisor that, hey, how we have, in this case, I can count failure, or in this log, how many have failure. So I will say WC tag L. So now I will come and report to my supervisor that, hey, we have 10,000 or over 10,000 failed password in our log file. So what we've done, we've actually, but in this case, there might be repetitions. Some of these IP addresses may be reappearing. So we can also proceed to sort. So we can use a utility called sort. You see how I'm using one liner? So instead, so now I will say sort. When I sort, it will only and only bring these IP addresses, as you can see, these IP addresses that have repetitions. So for example, we have many 81s, many 29s, but now I want to remove repetitions. So to remove repetitions, I will add a pipe and add unique. So I want to remove repetition by using unique. So when I use unique, so you will see they will only and only bring unique IP addresses. They will not repeat. And that is why this is going to help us. But then this is still a lot. So what do? I'll say unique taxi, so that it can bring how many lines of those repetitions. For example, I can see this IP address appears 71 times. So it tried to authenticate 71 times. In this case, this IP address with failed, it appears 68 times. So that is when I add taxi, it means that please count. This is the command. Taxi, please count those unique. So when I press enter, it will bring a count of every IP addresses with its failure on that line. But then I can proceed and sort. I just put another thing and sort. And when you sort, it brings from the descending order. So in this case, you will see where we're beginning from. Okay, we shall see this is 101. So this IP address has many failure logins, 101 times, more than any other. So this is descending. So in this case, I can add a minus if you want it to have a descending order well. So in this case, we shall have the same. So 101, this IP address. So this is, so now you can report your super. So the page that had, actually the log file that had 20,000, we narrowed it down to get things we want. So that is how we can use grep to actually do manipulate files. In this case, I can also, we can do one scenario also. Let's do some other scenario. Let's do some other scenario. So for example, your boss will tell you, please find me anything that has 404 in this log. What will I do? Grep, I put the file 404. So this is the keyword I'm searching for in the log file. So followed by the file name. And now let me start with let me start. So for example, I want to know where the data field that has that log of 404. So I will first print the head to understand. So let me say tail. Tail normally has some good look of things. So I can see 404 is at which field can this be? Can it be 7? Okay, let me just say I will use awk to print that data field. So I say print $sign. I'll say 8, maybe. What did I do wrong? Who can tell me what is wrong? Hey, let me see if I'm being fact checked. Who can tell me where my error is coming from? I want to see in the chat. Who can tell me where my error is coming from? Where I'm getting the error from? Someone says brackets not closed. Okay, I can now confirm your learning. So we had forgotten that we have to run it, our data fields, we have to run them in closed brackets. So this is a lot. Um, we can't, we only want 404. So to confirm, we need to understand the data field where 404 is, and so I can look for. But are we getting 404 though? So grep 404. We should be getting 404. Let me use one. You can use any of these. So tail 404, Z 404. Let me just use this and I grep 404. Okay, this is what I wanted. So I want at least to see that my first search works. So now, after now running that, we have 404. Now we want to understand where it might be. So I'll awk, and then you have to put our brackets. This time around, we are not going to forget. And then we print the data field. So $sign 8. Um, avoid this. Instead of cut, I will use, say, less. If I print 7, what will happen? What if I print um, 9 or 8? So you have to find this data field. So if you want, some people would even count this manually from this and understand the data field 404 is on. And so when you count and print it, you sort it or use head, you should be able to get exactly how many of them were able to or how many you could get from how many 404s one can get from that. So I will open different challenges. I'll open different challenges. But before that, I can first finish this awk thing so we can rep. So I realized when we look at this log, this looks like anything that has HTTP has to be inside one data field. So can we do that? So what I will do is I will grep for anything that has HTTP with a slash. Let me see where. HTTP, how does it look like? HTTP, capital letters with a slash. I don't want to mind this 1 point something. So I'll just say dot anything. So even if it is one, so why am I doing that? Even if it is dot what or dot what, I just want anything. That's why I put a star. So dot anything, and then I'll say 404. So this should actually give exactly our search. We can first print that and see. So it is called CTF file. What is the file called? It is called. Okay, I need to enclose something. So you can put this. I need to enclose because I had a double quote. So I can be able to, let me see how it looks like. I can say head. Okay. So at least now they are giving me things that might be okay. Okay, so what do I want to do now? So I'm grabbing for anything that has HTTP dot anything with 404, and then also can also count it. I can also, I can awk. Let me try to awk. So awk, and then what do I want now? I can say maybe I want, you can even first count WC tag L. See now how many lines have that? Okay, so now I can start printing the data fields. So I can awk, and then we have to print. So we have to print that data field, which can be $sign. If it is 6, you can put 6. If it is 7, you can put 7. If it's 8, you can put 8. If it's 9, you can put 9. And so you would be able to get exactly to get the bottom line of the 404. So um, so when you get that, you should be able to know to count its lines. I don't want to finish this because there is a challenge that is asking you this. I don't want to spoil it. I want you to proceed using this technique to be able to finish it. And that challenge, I want to open it right now. I want to open it right now because I see the time is also against us. Let me open that challenge. Okay, so the link for registration is in the chat. Please try to register. The link for registration is in the chat. Please register. Okay, we can finish with these challenges that I'm going to open. And these challenges are, you will do them tonight and tomorrow we shall start from them. Those that will finish them faster, good for them. These challenges, there are many. The file is the same. So I'll open these challenges at once. And really, I will be happy to see those that have solved them very fast. So at this juncture, I now encourage you to, after the session, of course, not now, to now head over to Linux Basics, where you will find new challenges. I think they are called, okay, let me see if they are already open. Okay, let me open them again so that you can be able to get them. So they are called file ops. And when you look at them, you should be able to see new files. So file ops 1, file ops 2. So in this case, these files, you will download this file and you'll be able to answer it. So these files, I can be able to download the file, and this file is the one you will actually do what? It's the one you will use to analyze the logs. That file is actually the same file I was analyzing, so I didn't want to get and spoil those logs, those points for you. I wanted you to try it out using awk, using sed, using grep. Okay, so if you have questions, please type them in the chat. If you have questions, please. If you have questions, type them in the chat as I'm making these challenges visible for you. I'm entertaining questions. Please register because we are time up. Okay. How can we get the slides? I'll send them in the chat. Double trouble hint. Okay, we shall have. So tomorrow the session starts at 8:40 around there, and then we shall have a break at around 10 in the morning. Is there any other question? And I think I was able to do